Hello everybody, welcome back to another video with Lim Reviews. Now today we're going to be doing a very in-depth kind of camera comparison between the Vivo X80 Pro against the OPPO Find X5 Pro that I've been testing out for the past few days. Now the reason why I'm doing this camera comparison is because these guys here have very reputable camera names on the backs. So for the Vivo X80 Pro here, they've worked with ZEISS, and for the OPPO Find X5 Pro, they are working with Hasselblad. And I just wanted to see which one here actually gave us the real true to life colors. Now, today's video, we will not talk about the numbers, the camera specifications and all that. I'll put the link to their full specs down in the description box below, but we're just going to jump straight into the pictures as well as the videos taken. For this particular comparison, I've also put in multiple different kind of lighting conditions. So today's video is going to be a little bit more longer than usual, but I'm sure you will be able to find a lot of interesting results from this comparison video. Now, before we begin the video, of course, if you could just drop a like and sub to the channel, that would be super much appreciated. And with that said, let us begin the comparison right away. Now we're going to start off first and foremost by taking a look at the pictures taken by the Vivo X80 Pro with ZEISS activated. And what this means is that the saturation levels here are really going to be reduced by the phone itself. So you're going to see a very much paler image on the Vivo X80 Pro compared to the Find X5 Pro. Right, so now with that said, just in terms of color accuracy, I noticed that, to be honest, the Vivo X80 Pro here does look very accurate, but it is lacking those saturation levels. That is what I'm seeing with my own eyes. So what I mean here is that the OPPO Find X5 Pro is a little bit too saturated, so the real exact image that I'm seeing with my eyes is actually what's in between these images. Now we're going to move on into a different category of images here. Now this category of images we're going to be looking at is daytime shot with both devices set to auto. So the ZEISS mode will not be turned on right now, and we're going to see how this performs on the daily instead. All right, so let's begin. The first photo we have here is two trees here. You might notice that again, Vivo X80 Pro images tend to look a little bit more cooler than the actual situation is. Now moving on to the next shot, you can see here that again, it is a very saturated kind of a situation with the Vivo and the ZEISS coloring and all that. In terms of this shot right here, the greens on the Vivo X80 Pro is just super green and it's not realistic at all. The one that is realistic is the one on the right, the one with the Hasselblad. Now next shot here we're going to see is in terms of this flower. I would say that in this particular case, the grass, the greens on the Vivo is the one that is more accurate. Again, remember that this is under a very hot afternoon sun and it's supposed to be warmer. So the one on the OPPO, the Hasselblad is a little bit messed up here because it's not correct at all. And moving on to the next shot, this one here is very similar across both images. Again, the main difference you will see here is in terms of the grass, it's slightly greener on the Hasselblad side. So just in terms of accuracy, again, it is also slightly more accurate on the Hasselblad. So we are seeing this kind of consistency, more accurate colors on the Hasselblad. All right, so we're going to move on to the next shot and talk a bit about daylight shot indoors. All right, so this BMW over here, we notice that again, Vivo X80 Pro here is really brightening the image a little bit more, but the true to life one is on the one on the right, the Hasselblad. It retains the contrast here on the OPPO Find X5 Pro, so good shot there. Moving on to the next shot, this case is a little bit different. This particular shot is shot against a very bright window at the back. So you'll notice that in this case, I felt that the OPPO Find X5 Pro did a better job here. You notice that the wheels itself is slightly brightened compared to the one on the Vivo. Vivo's one looks very dark. Moving on to the next shot, again, this is also pointed towards the glass, so everything is very bright on that end. But in this case, again, I felt that the OPPO Find X5 Pro did a better job here. Again, in terms of just the color accuracy, the greens here are very, very similar. They're good, accurate kind of greens, but just in terms of the overall picture, I feel that the one on the Hasselblad is doing a slightly better job. All right, so let's move on and talk about pictures taken of people. All right, so we have a couple of shots of me over here. Now, this is a couple of portrait shots that we're going to check out. And right off the bat, just take a look at this. I can tell you the main difference here is that the Vivo X80 Pro is retaining the kind of skin tones that I have for my face. Whereas on the OPPO Find X5 Pro, it's trying to brighten my skin or something like that. Whenever it detects a person in the scene, it tries to brighten it, and suddenly it just becomes a cool bluish tint to it. So again, I'm going to show you the next shot here. It's a similar story. The colors are much more accurate on the Vivo X80 Pro. All right, so now that we've we've done talking about the daytime shots, outdoors, indoors, as well as skin tones. Let's move on to night mode and see how they perform. Alright, so nighttime, I did this test here. I took a couple of shots of cars on the road, and in this case, I noticed that the red here is actually more accurate on the Vivo. Now take a look at this Ferrari. I mean, you guys know Ferrari red is just red. The one on the Oppo here looks a little bit off. It looks slightly strange. Moving on to the next shot. In this case here, the Aston Martin, you'll notice that on the wheels itself, it's slightly brighter on the Vivo X80 Pro. So again, in terms of the night mode, Vivo tends to brighten the image a little bit more here compared to Oppo. Alright, so now we're going to talk a little bit about people, taking shots of people at night. In this case, again, whenever it comes to people, I find that it is always just better on the Vivo. Now, forgive me for my messed up hair over there, but in this case, the skin tones, once again, is more accurate on the Vivo X80 Pro. This second shot shows the same case again. If you look at the picture on the right, I look very weird with this kind of greenish, yellowish kind of tint going on here. And in terms of the Vivo, it's just very retaining the original look of the skin tones, and I love that about the Vivo X80 Pro. Now, I did take a couple of night portraits as well, and in this case, once again, it's a similar story here. Vivo does better at taking night portraits. The skin tones are again very accurate here. In this shot particularly, again, you can see that you notice that Vivo is giving us a slightly brighter image, and on the OPPO Find X5 Pro here, you notice that I'm almost blended in with the background. I can't really separate myself from the background, so not too nice there. So you might notice that in terms of consistency wise, the skin tones and all that tend to look a little bit nicer and more realistic on the Vivo, although occasionally the OPPO Find X5 Pro do tend to get it right every once in a while. So, but anyways, I would say that the win in terms of night portraits, just daytime portraits, goes to the Vivo. Alright, now we're going to take a look at a couple of night mode shots of environments and all that. So this shot was taken at a very dark kind of place. And in this case, I would say that the OPPO Find X5 Pro, the Hasselblad, is doing a better job here. The greens is exactly as it was. For some reason, Vivo has this really weird, yellowish tint going on, which is weird. This second shot actually proves that happens again. In very, very dark environments, it will light up the entire environment, but Vivo is just having this very weird kind of yellow tint going on. Now moving on to something else a little bit more realistic here, you'll probably be taking shots of this cool lighting and all that. In terms of realistic kind of look, I would say that it's more realistic on the OPPO Find X5 Pro because the lights were actually yellowish. It was not so whitish as you see on the Vivo X80 Pro, but the Vivo X80 Pro picture tend to look a little bit cleaner. If you move on to the next shot here again, you notice that there is a trend with Vivo. In terms of their night mode, they are always slightly brighter than the OPPO Find X5 Pro. This next shot will also tell you the same story. Let's move on. This one also proves the same thing again. So if you're looking for brighter night shots, definitely that is where you can find it in the Vivo X80 Pro. But if you want something more, retaining the contrast levels and all that, that is where you can find it on the Oppo. All right, so now we're going to take a look at a video. Let's check out the video comparison. I know it's quite a couple of minutes in already, but let's check this out. So we have a look here at this particular scene, and in terms of the video, right away you can see that the grass on the Vivo, which is on the left by the way, is super green. The color is just off. In terms of just video, I would say the color accuracy is spot on with the OPPO Find X5 Pro. The Hasselblad color tuning here is excellent. Everything that you're seeing on the screen right now, especially on the OPPO Find X5 Pro, is exactly what I was seeing when I went to the park. Everything on the left, the Vivo one is slightly boosted, too saturated, and the grass doesn't look realistic at all. It's just too green on the Vivo side. Alright, so we have this look here again, very consistently. You guys can see that both are actually doing very well in terms of the stabilization, moving here and there. We're going to check out a couple more video shots very soon. For this particular one, I'm going to walk across this bridge, and you can just take a look at the stabilization. Very, very similar kind of stabilization here, although you will notice that the colors once again are not that saturated on the OPPO Find X5 Pro, and that is where it's doing a better job. So in terms of night mode videos, I would say that both devices are actually doing a great job here. But just in terms of the color accuracy, again, it is more accurate on the OPPO Find X5 Pro. Vivo is still trying to brighten the image even for videos as well. So if you want a brighter kind of video taking, you can check it out on the Vivo. Whereas on OPPO, it doesn't brighten the image that much, but it does retain more contrast. It retains more color accuracy as well. So we're just going to move on here and check out the next video that we have. All right, very quickly. Now I'm going to walk up to this ball of lights here, and again you can see that the yellowish tint is actually more accurate on the OPPO Find X5 Pro. These lightings are actually yellowish kind of lighting, whereas on the Vivo on the left, you notice that it's a little bit more whiter. So again, just in terms of the color accuracy, more accurate videos on the right. Whereas the Vivo on the left here is just really trying to brighten the entire scenario. That is the kind of results that we are seeing on both the images as well as the videos right here. Alright guys, so that pretty much sums up the comparison between the Vivo X80 Pro against the OPPO Find X5 Pro. At the end of the day, me personally, I don't think either one of them are winners. I think they're both winners in their respective categories. Sometimes it's a little bit better on the Vivo X80 Pro, sometimes it's a little bit better on the OPPO Find X5 Pro. Regardless, it's always cool to see, these developers, these manufacturers here pushing the boundaries of the cameras that we get on our smartphones these days. Well, let me know what you guys think, because at the end of the day, I want to know what you think. Which one actually won your heart? Was it the Team ZEISS or Team Hasselblad that really took your choice today? Let me know down in the comment section below. Please let me know, because I really want to know which one won you guys over. With that said, thank you for staying all the way till the end. Don't forget to drop a like and sub to the channel to see more content like this. And do take care and stay safe. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye!